How come you're up so early today?
Right. So here's what's happening, right? I've had.
Because I would just first off, I'd like to say welcome to the listeners. I'm usually going for like my first nap of the day at this time,
First
and
nap of the
like,
day.
and you're like so far into sleep at this point, it's unreal. Like you're never getting yourself up, and it's no usually to about maybe a couple of hours time that you would be up. So it's
hmm
fascinating. I'd love to hear. How come you're up early today?
So for a while, for quite a few years, a lot of the times my sleeping pattern was in a sense where I wouldn't go to bed until like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd be up at
Mhm.
like 2, 3 ish, maybe a bit later than that sometimes. But the last like month or so, it got really bad where I wasn't getting to sleep until like 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes not waking up until like 5 or 6.
Wow.
And it was bad. And I was like, for like, it was one of the things where for a while I was like, I really need to fucking sort my sleeping pattern out because this is bad.
That is bad,
Um,
yeah.
but then there was that issue in combination of me just not sleeping well, where I kept sleeping for like I'd go to bed to go to sleep, and I would sleep for like 3 hours, and then I'd wake up.
hmm
And I'd wait, no, for any reason. Nothing would wake me up. It's not like I needed to go to the bathroom or anything. I'd just wake up for after like
hmm
3 hours of sleep, even though I'd been up all day. And I'm just like, and I feel, and then I have to go back to sleep, and then I'll sleep for another 3 hours, and then I'll get up again. And it's just like I kept doing that. Like I couldn't sleep for a full like night. It was just I was always up at least two separate times I'd be up.
You
Uh,
really can't live like that.
and it was a nightmare, and I didn't know what was causing it, and I was like fucking. So that in combination with the bad hours was really bad. But then I finally started trying to fix my sleeping pattern. I'm now, for the last like 3 or 4 days, have been getting to bed about 11 to midnight ish, and then
Okay,
getting
that's
up
good.
and then usually getting up around 7. But I'm still having the issue of sleeping for a few hours and then getting up, and then sleeping for a few hours and then getting up, which is and
Mm.
pissing me off because like every night is literally I go to bed at like between 11 and 12, wake up, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, go back to sleep, wake up again, it's like 5 in the morning, and then it takes me like 2 hours sometimes at that point to fall back asleep, and I'll only fall asleep for like an hour, and then I'll be up, and then because of the sleeping pattern, so because it's such a shitty sleep, I end up being like really
Mm.
tired by the time it gets to like 5, 6 o'clock. I'm just
Your
shattered, and
your sleep
it's a fucking nightmare.
your sleeping pattern has always been um wildly interesting to me because like I go to my bed at 8 o'clock at night and I wake up at 8 o'clock the next day if I can help it. So like
I
I try
wish.
and at the very least I aim for 8 hours of sleep.
Same. That's what I would
Absolutely,
like to do.
that's my minimum. That is my minimum. I love to sleep. I really do. Just like if I had nothing to do for a day and like say I had no commitments with like the dogs or anything like that, I honestly would just lay in bed for like a good few hours because I love it. I love the coziness of it. But I, I, I want to speak a wee bit sensitively here. I'm not going to call you a wrinkly old decrepit bitch, but do you think that it is maybe that you're because you're getting to a certain age now that a full night's sleep's just no one cares?
Uh, Possibly. There could
Think it's
be
an
there,
age thing?
there could be age or health related reasons that are causing it. I could imagine. I think one factor is the fact that the mattress I'm sleeping on is a mattress I've had since I was a teenager, which is like a good 15 years old now, and it's definitely not got the same kind of support that I had used to. So I don't
Yeah.
know if maybe this mattress is just getting to the point where it's just I can't like my body just can't sleep on it properly.
hmm
Um, so I'm looking into getting a new mattress.
I
Uh,
can I can see like a shitty mattress can really affect your sleep.
uh,
Like when I first moved out, obviously I didn't have much to my name, and I remember like Frankie left his old bed for like me to sleep on,
uh,
and like no harm to Frankie or anything like that, but the bed was shit and broke all that kind of shit. But you
I
know,
mean,
you kind of just you kind of have to deal with it.
that's the thing though. Frank can fucking could sleep anywhere, man. He could
Mm.
fucking he could sleep for like 10 hours straight hours on like a fucking wooden floor. No
Did
issue.
you know? Did you know he takes power naps in between lifting weights?
Does he
Like
actually?
he'll just fall asleep standing up and he'll just lift weights.
His his
See,
his sleep shit, man, is just insane. As he can go to sleep. He can sleep so much, so easily, and go to sleep so
hmm
quickly. And I don't know how he does that shit.
hmm Alan says that about me. Like, I just fall asleep. He'll
It's
be talking
crazy.
to me, and then all of a sudden I'll just stop talking. Obviously, because I've just fell asleep. I think it's one of those things that everybody has a different kind of sleep routine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like Frankie's routine for sleeping is apparently just breathing, and there you go. There he's in a deep sleep. What do you have like a bedtime routine or a sleep routine?
Oh, not really. I literally just my routine is I just go to bed when I feel tired enough. I usually
I
try and go to
mean,
bed after being like I usually will be like on a level of like if I've been awake for like 15, 16 hours since I last woke up, that'll be me. That's when I tell myself I should probably go to bed because
hmm,
that's like the average time I think you should be up for before you try and go to sleep.
I
So
feel like I feel like in sleeping, like you live in the Wild West. Like you're just like hitting the saloons, shooting at the deputies, and it's just you're very, I'll sleep when I'm dead kind of patter.
uh,
Whereas Frankie's kind of like I don't know, in the nursing home where they're just constantly sleeping. It's like here's some pills or whatever it is.
do you know what isn't helping though?
What's that?
One of your neighbours no one of the ones like right next to us, but like you know how we've got our back garden and then there's other
Yeah.
houses or the like fence and stuff on the
Mm-hmm.
other side of that fence. One of the cunts got a new dog, I think.
The Barker.
Every single morning, about 8 a.m, they take the dog outside their house to sit in their garden, and it barks non-stop for at least 2 hours. And it doesn't shut up,
Jesus.
and it's so fucking loud. And it's been like a few weeks now, and I'm actually getting so tired of it. Like at first it was like, oh, new dog, you know, but like
Give them the time
it's
to
like,
kind of settle.
aye, I'm like, but it doesn't even seem like the gear shit. Like they don't even make an attempt to try and like make it be quiet. They just throw it outside, and it's like, all right, throw it outside, and it just sits there and barks. I don't even know what it's barking at. It just barks. And apparently the rest of us have just to sit and fucking listen to it.
See, it's obviously I've got dogs and you've had dogs and stuff like that, and it's dogs they bark. It's just one of the things, but
Mm-hmm.
a dog barking every day for like hours and end, just constantly barking. That's
I just don't.
that's something else. And you just obviously these people are like, oh well, if we just don't react to the behaviour, then I guess they'll stop. Well, I don't know if they've ever had a dog before, but a dog just won't stop barking.
It won't.
Like you have to train a dog to stop barking, and it's not just a case of like, shouting, telling it to shut up or something like that. You have to be like Sasha. She's a barker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she only barks when certain types of dogs are walking past her,
Mm.
and it's like for Sasha's barking, it's what would you call it? An anxious thing. She's anxious.
Aye.
She doesn't like some dogs, so she's anxious around some dogs. So some dogs she just barks at, and so like I go Sasha, and I was like, all right, she could just bark at every single or some dogs that we walk past, and she'll think it's fine because I'm not doing anything about it. Or I could let her know that there's no reason for her to be anxious, and she'll stop barking.
Yep.
It just I don't understand owners that just I don't know. You wouldn't let your Wayne sit and scream in the street for hours on end.
Well, some people do.
Well, a lot of people do. But just because you said that, like shaming parents and stuff, a lot of parents don't know what their Waynes are up to.
Aye.
You know, they Waynes are crawling the streets and they're bored and they've got energy and they've got the hormones and whatever it is youthful people have that I have long since forgotten. But and the parents don't know.
It's bad times, man. It's bad times. I
mean,
don't understand people that get pets that clearly are like work and effort to take care of that, and they just don't bother. It's like, why did you get it? You didn't want a pet. You wanted a cute thing to sit in the corner to look at whenever you wanted to, or whenever you felt like you needed attention. Get a fucking stuffed animal, you cunt.
You bring up a
no
really
living
good,
animal.
You bring up like a really good point. Like some people literally just get a pet or an animal or something like that because they want something to do when they're bored, or they want something to kind of follow, like give the love that they could be given to whatever else, and they pour it into this animal, and this poor animal's like, oh god, like I feel really bad for some people because obviously there's no license to get a dog. Anybody can get a dog.
Aye.
I don't think everybody should be able to get a dog.
It's I feel like, and it's a sad thing though, because like there's also with that, it's like there's already so many issues with dogs that fucking are like they don't get adopted. Like there's so many dogs that don't that need to get adopted and all that, and it's like on the one hand you've got like the potential where if you let anybody get a dog, you can get people that are abusive or neglective, but then if you make it really strict and hard to get a dog, then that's more dogs that are stuck in kennels and all that, and it's like it's just no matter what, it's like there's no way to have it really be perfect.
It really is one of those situations where, and there's a lot of situations like it where you hope that the people will have the common sense. Like you would hope that the person, like, excuse me, your neighbour, you would expect them to have the common sense to be able to deal with a dog that barks if they're getting a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like if I was, say, looking for another dog and they're like, right, just so you know, this dog, really energetic, needs a lot of enrichment and encouragement and all this kind of stuff, I'd be like, right, well, that's what I'm signing up for. If I take that dog, that's what I'm signing up for.
Yep.
If you take any dog, you're signing up for a lot of work. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No breaks. It's not like a cat. Cats, you can generally just kind of... Cats, they don't really bother themselves or bother, other people. They just kind of keep to themselves and they fend for themselves and that kind of stuff, and they can entertain themselves.
Cats are they're very self-efficient animals for the most part.
Dogs are a wee bit different. They need a chain of command.
Right.
They need to know that they're in the pack and that they are part of the pack, and if they're the leader or whatever it is, But I was told today, maybe only an hour ago, that I had a gaping massive hole in my joggies.
Whereabouts? Is that right in the groin?
Right the crotch. Absolutely right on the crotch.
I've also got a pair of joggies that I still wear, and it is a massive gaping hole right in the crotch. But I mean, I'll wear them
at this point.
I'll literally I'll just wear them if I'm sitting about the house and I'm not got anywhere to go at all that day. I'll be like, I'll just wear them because I'm no cunts going to see it anyway. So I'm like, they're still comfortable. And that,
there's life in them.
Aye, like I'm not going to throw them out. So
I mean, I'm the same, but I had been out. Went and got like my groceries and stuff like that, and I've probably been bending over for shit, and people have just. Do you want to know the worst of it? I have a hole in my underwear as well. Wow. So I don't know what people have seen. I don't know if people have been like, oh, he's got a wee hole in his joggies, and I've looked at the hole in his joggies, and, oh, he's got a hole in his boxers, and I've went, he's got, it's not been good. I mean, I've not taken them off.
That is...
I'm still wearing them.
That is hilarious, though.
I mean, let me ask you this, right? Like, I'm not really one for, like, expensive clothes or, like keeping my trainers clean. You know how some people are like, oh, my trainers have got to be immaculate and white, all that carry on, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really one for that. How do you feel about like holy underwear or holy socks, wearing them?
I mean, it depends, like how bad it is. I guess if it's, I've go.
It's a hole, but it's wearable. It's like still wearable. It still holds the shape. It's not like you're
Aye.
wearing rags. Yeah.
The only, I think that with socks specifically, I would only throw them out. I think if the holes were like at the toes, because having a toe like sticking out that looks really trumpy, and it's also not very comfortable if you've got a one toe sticking out of your fucking socks. It's not very comfy.
True.
If it's just on like the heel or something like that, that's not bad.
The heel, yep. Like some socks you get, and like there's a hole, but there's no hole.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like there's still some thread or whatever it is there, but they're not a fully fledged hole. Basically, ladies and gentlemen and listeners, what I'm trying to tell you is that I will wear my stuff into the ground.
Same.
That like it'll be threads hanging off my toe before I go, I should chuck that sock out.
Aye.
I just don't believe in like like it's this really weird shame-based thing in society that everything has to be pristine clean. Everything has to be as if you've just out the factory floor.
Mm.
Like even when it comes to like people's bodies and stuff like that, like humans are animals, and humans and animals smell. It's just a thing that happens. Like if it's the weather's really nice today, so I'd imagine that there's going to be people out there that are going to be like, a wee bit smelly.
There's going to be some swamp ass going about.
There's going to be some swamp ass, right? And people have this, like, as I say, it's a shame-based reaction where it's just kind of like, oh my god, you're a filthy, disgusting pig shit creature. How dare you sweat out in this heat? How dare you? And you're like, right, you need to relax and just let people be people.
It's a weird thing when you're like people that get like when you get embarrassed that you've got like pit stains, but it's like it's like a whole day and you're wearing like a grey shirt or something like that and you've got pit stains and you're like embarrassed by it, but it's like, I mean, you're sweating, it's hot, like
I know, but
it's a normal thing. But people
exactly.
you get embarrassed about it, like as if it's some fucking awful thing you've done. It's like, oh, how dare I let my body sweat?
I hate it. I wish I could just go up to people and go like that. I see your sweat. I see your sweat marks, and it does not bother me. It does not bother you. Just be sweaty. Be sweaty all you want. As I say, it's just shame, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Like say for instance, like you're out and you're working or you've cycled to work, and say there's showers at work. Some workplaces have them, but like say you've came home from work and like you've had your bike and it's been a long day and stuff like that. And even though you've showered, like you've still, like people will make you feel as though you're a tramp. Like you are just straight out a cardboard box in the corner of the street. Like, how fucking dare you be human? How dare you show me the dark side of bodily functions? It's like people who like get so offended when people burp.
Aye.
It's like well,
I just don't get that, man.
You never burped. Like you never like felt a pressure at the deep parts of your stomach and the relief as you threw it out your gob. I don't get it. Alan's like that. Alan hates burping. He's one of these people that like to think that he was brought up with manners and everybody else was just fucking dragged. Everybody else was dragged up. He had manners. He was learnt manners. And like I'll burp, and and
yeah. Oh Jesus, excuse me.
How fucking dare you?
How relevant.
In a pandemic.
Oh.
I can feel the germs on my microphone. How dare you?
Oh, Jesus.
You are a poisonous. You are a lech or a wretch or whatever it is, spreading diseases. How dare you be human?
How dare I?
How dare you be human? can you think of like any other ways like people just shame you for things that are natural and you have like no control over?
I feel like a big one for men, a big one for men specifically. Well, I mean, probably there's women that could deal with this as well, but I think it's obviously more common with men. Is like, balding and hairline stuff.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
The amount of like shit people give people for having like a receding hairline or going bald and all that, and it's like it's such a horrible thing to make fun of somebody for. It's like they can't control it. There's nothing they can do to make that no happen.
And it makes no difference to their life. Absolutely no difference to anyone's life. It's a good point. Like, some of the things that annoy me about it is, especially in corporate America, the worst kind of places in the world, that you are nothing if you're a bald man. Like, you could be a complete piece of shit and people will like you because you have hair. And you could be an angel but be bald, but people will just automatically go with the person with hair. Does that make sense? Like, it's weird. Like, people go for like hair transplants and stuff like that because they're so either embarrassed or they part of their identity is in their hair, so they're like, well, I need to have hair. But it is a weird thing because, like, I don't know, most people will probably be bald 50 years' time. Like, I don't even know where I pulled that figure from. I just plucked that out the fucking sky. So, you heard it here first, folks. The majority of people will be bald in 50 years' time. Probably from all the fucking nuclear radiation, but... I mean, I lost my hair very young. I lost my hair when I was 15. So, like, I guess I know exactly what every guy is going through because I went through it at 15. I went through it at like probably the worst time to do it, which is still in high school, where people can be like really kind of nasty and shady about it. And it was so weird to me, like, growing up. Obviously, like, I've never really had hair since I was 15, so I'm sitting there and I'm like hearing like men, and they're like, men, yeah, like 18, 19, 20, and they're like, oh, my hair's receding. Or people as you say, people make fun of them for their hair receding, and they get embarrassed about it, and it's like, oh, fuck, I need to do something about that. It's like, do what? At least you've got the chance to say goodbye. Like, just enjoy it while you've got it, Christ.
It's fucked, man. It's
But then women are the same, like, because obviously, like, pattern baldness can happen to women, and like women can get alopecia, and they can get hair traction alopecia, which is this is so sad, right? Have you ever heard of this, hair traction alopecia?
I don't think so.
So basically, because like of shitty like beauty standards and stuff like that have been set for women, they brush their hair back, like from the scalp into like a ponytail kind of thing. But because some women do it for so long and over such a long period of time, the hair just gets so stressed out and just starts falling out. So like the hairline that they had grows weaker, if that makes sense. And obviously, like, it's so weird. You expect hair on a man everywhere, but you only ever expect hair on a woman at the top, and then it's got to be like pure, as if it's straight out the Herbal Essences commercial. It's so weird.
That just reminded me. Did you see the dumb fucking the dumb shit? There was so the game Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes, it's like a explorer kind of game.
It's like open world kind of game.
Yeah.
Main character's a woman, and there's like mechanical like creatures and shit.
That's right. Yeah.
Aye. So the new game came out a few weeks ago, and
was this a sequel?
It was a sequel to the first one, and they were showing off there was like an image that went around where there was kind of like it was like I think the point of the image was to show, or it was just to show the game, but it was like it was like kind of showing off the tech of how good the how like far come like graphics and games have came and how much detail there is and the main character in that, and it was like so detailed that you could even see like the small like hairs on her face, you know, because even though women, you know, generally don't obviously they don't grow like fucking beards and shit, they still get hair on their face and arms and just the same places that men do. It's just usually very short and very fair, so it's not as noticeable obviously, but they still get it, right? And like the fucking incels blew up about it. Like fucking, they've just proven that they've never actually been anywhere near a woman before. Like, why has she got hair on her face? This is not what a woman looks like. And it was just like, mate, you're calling yourself out here. You've never been close enough to a woman to notice that they do have hair on their face as well.
You are letting everybody know it has been some time that since you've clapped eyes on a lady.
It's so fucking funny. I was like, oh my god, dude.
So like, they obviously they expect women to be depicted as if it's their fantasy, as opposed to women just being a woman.
It's fucking it's hilarious. These kind of people. Anytime you see the discourse about like around games with stuff like this, it's just hilarious to me how often they'll just say the dumbest shit that makes no sense. Like fucking, there was a thing. I don't think it was much a big controversy, but like people were talking about it with Elden Ring. There was only black people playing the game, so were a bit disappointed that there wasn't a lot of hair options that were like they kind of had natural hair that a lot of black people have. Which you know, it's
a very legitimate. It's one
of the things where it's like it's made by a Japanese company, so they maybe wouldn't know about it or just wouldn't think about that. But at the same time, it's disappointing not to have it there for, you know, other people that are playing the game that are you know, just, you know, Japanese or white or whatever.
I mean, I'm not making excuses, but like the kind of natural hair, there's a lot to it, and I think that if they were going to implement that, they would probably need to get people who did know about it, and maybe they didn't know about it, so they were like, we'll leave it there now and we can come back to it, you know, kind of thing. Not that I'm making excuses, but
it was one of the things where it's like, it's a shame it's not there. Like, it's no big deal, it's not like fucking, it's not a huge deal, but it's one of the things where like, it'd be nice if it was an option for people with that kind of hairstyles and stuff. And people, fucking the idiots that were like replying to it, being like, oh, why would they have this game is set in like a kind of medieval theme. Why would there be black people there? Or like, wait, why would they have black people's kind of hairstyles and that? There wouldn't be black people in like medieval times. Like, do you know what else is named medieval times? Fucking dragons. And all the other crazy creatures and shit that they have in the game. What the fuck are you talking about? It's not a historically accurate video game. What are you actually talking about, you insane person?
It's completely fine for like walking and talking pots.
Walking pot people, dragons, that's all fine and completely like, that's totally like legit. No bother with that. But black people's hairstyles existing, that's way too unrealistic.
that really takes me out the experience, having like natural afro hair. So I mean, how do you even begin to talk sense into somebody like that? Like, where do you even start?
They're so far gone with this shit where they're just like, any excuse they can fucking just to be absolute. Oh my god!
Just say you're a racist piece of shit. Just say you're like. See if you think that the be and end all of white experience is medieval Europe. Baby. It's not the one. I mean, this is the thing. Like, see, whenever you ask for something, or whenever you ask for an accommodation, or whenever you ask for something to be a wee bit more inclusive, there's always going to be that person that takes it as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're usually white, and they're usually very fragile, and they're usually, you know, well, if the thing that I love, that if it changes for, you know, something else, I can't handle that. My little brain will explode. I don't get it.
I just these people are fucking. It's the dumbest shit, man. It's the dumbest shit. I just.
Do you know? It reminds me of an argument. Right? I was reading this argument earlier on, and it was somebody on Reddit. Surprisingly, was like, "I'm so sick of game developers making characters bi so that they can be romanced or they can flirt or whatever it is to have a relationship with the main character if the main character can be a man or a woman. I'm so sick of these characters being bi." And everybody was kind of just sitting there going, but the what? Like they're only the certain sexuality if they're attracted to you and if you talk to them. They're not actually like they're not playing the whole of that character or that NPC or whatever. They're not walking through the whole world going, "I'm completely attracted to anyone." It's not like that at all. It's for the story that you create. So, that person was moaning that all these characters were bi, but they weren't. Like they have the option.
Aye. Aye.
And it's such a weird thing to argue about, like these weird, obscure things in games. Like, if someone put it this way, let me just put it to you this way, right? If someone in the Democratic Republic of the Congo or somewhere else, in harsh Africa, and they play a game and they're like, that game was really good, but I wish I seen more of myself in it. And then in the next sequel, like, it's got more customization, all that kind of stuff, and they can see themselves in that game. That would make them happy to no end.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the simplest thing in the world, like, just to have people feel included and feel seen.
It's such a sad thing that people that have for decades had their had plenty of representation in this media. They can't stand it. They can't stand it when a game dev is like, "Hey, what if we just like make it so you can play as like any like you can create your character and like play as any race and all that?" And then these people phone at them with like, "You can't do that. All protagonists have to be white and men."
I mean, like, growing up, a lot of these games were always like white men. Yep. Always white men. And like, I remember playing Fable, the first one, where I think you could only go. I think you can go a girl in the second one, or is that 3? I can't remember. But they added the choice in. They added the choices in. Put it that way. But the first Fable, you were a little boy, and that was it.
I played it. I played it recently, and I don't remember if there was a choice for that actually.
Well, exactly. So you're this little white boy in wherever it is, like Germanic kind of villages kind of type thing, and I kind of like, as I say, it would be so alienating if you are a person of color, and you've got all these games being piped out, and it's always the same experience. It's always from like the white male experience. Then, like, put it this way, I'd imagine there's a lot of people out there who would love games if they just seen themselves more in them.
It's fucking people are just. I just hate them.
I mean, I do hate people.
This is if we can't have a nice. We can't have a nice thing.
And things can't be improved upon because then you're attacking someone else. It's this really weird thing where things have to be made. They have to be compartmentalized for people, and any deviation for that is an attack on someone. Do you know what tired argument I'm sick of hearing? And it's okay, so they're remaking this program and this actor's black. Or we're remaking this program and this actor's they used to be white and now it's a Spanish person or whatever it was, right? And that's stupid. Like, people that argue against that are like that's stupid, right? But what really annoys me, and it's when it's, well, why don't we just take a black character and make them white? And you're like, how completely ignorant are you to the situation to even suggest that? Like, how does... It's like it's a tit for tat.
They think it's,
you know?
they think it's like an equivalent exchange. It's like, well, if Idris Elba's going to be the new James Bond, we have to take a black character and make them white. It's only fair. It's like, what are you talking about?
Like, I can imagine these people sitting in their basements, like, with a scoreboard, you know, and it's got, like, white, blacks and everyone else, and, like, you know, they just mark. It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy to me.
It's so
like,
fucking ridiculous.
Let me make it very clear to everyone why just replacing a black actor with a white actor won't work. Because the whole point in giving like black and people of color more positions and more roles in movies and stuff like that is to get their experience across, to get their view and everything that they've been through, and so that the audience can connect with that. The audience have connected with the white male's perspective for maybe the past 100 years.
Yep.
Like, since the dawn of media,
yep,
it's been about the white male perspective. So, just just do with that information as you will, but, you know, Jesus Christ, don't ever suggest that to me in real life. Like, don't ever be like, oh, have you heard? They're making a black Superman. Well, we need to make a White Panther.
White Panther.
Like, what?
Oh, that's, you know what's fucking hilarious about it? There was a video. I think it was back when Black Panther first came out. There was actually a video that for a channel that I watch. They put up a video. I think it was titled, "Why is there no White Panther?" or something like that. And it's just, but the whole video is just him, one of the guys coming into a room, like, I've got a great idea for a video, and they're just like, we saw the title, don't do it, just don't. And they're like, really? Like, no, just don't. It's not worth it. It's just a like total like fourth wall breaking them, just like, it's not worth the joke. Don't fucking.
No. Even as a joke, it'd be hard to make funny because like you really are kind of playing into those people who want to like spread the discourse, you know.
It's, I just don't understand people, man. They just.
I mean, like, you know, people do say that, you know, white people shouldn't be excluded from the conversation about race, and I think that's true. We shouldn't be excluded, but then again, like, we shouldn't define what the conversation should be. We've had the floor of the conversation for forever, like literally forever, since marked time, you know. Get somebody else. I don't need to know about Trisha and Bobby from the south of America falling in love and, you know, dealing with conservative Christian views. You know, I know that story inside and out. Give me somebody else's story. So it is a wee bit drafty in here, and I think it's because of the hole in my joggies. And I mean,
it's it has been quite warm these past couple of days, just out of nowhere. It just the sun, apparently the fucking weather just went, oh, it's spring, right? Time to fucking roast yous immediately. Like, Jesus, man, it was like, there's only like a week ago it was like around like 1-2 degrees Celsius most of the time.
Rainy, cloudy.
And, rainy and cloudy, and then all of a sudden it's just like, alright, it's gonna be like 15 to 20 Celsius every day. Fuck yous.
I mean, I think at one point it was hotter here than it was somewhere in Spain or Portugal.
It's fucking crazy, man. It's just all of a sudden just so warm. Like, goddamn, chill out.
That is weird. Like, it's weird how, like, in the space of a week, I've went from, like, wearing layers to, like, just a t-shirt.
I actually went out the other day, and I didn't realise the weather was going to be warm, so I just went out wearing, like, you know, just joggies and a hoodie and that. And, fucking...
You didn't sweat, did you?
I was a sweaty bastard. My back was wringing in sweat.
How
fucking
unbecoming.
roasting. I was just like, God damn.
I can't believe you have the audacity to tell people on this podcast that you have sweated like a regular human being. How dare you?
How dare I? How dare I? Fuck, man.
Do you think that it would have that you would have felt good if someone was like, "Oh my god, you're sweaty as fuck," like just randomly out of the blue looked at you and said that? Do you think that would have made you feel better, or do you think that would have made you feel? How would that have made you feel?
It probably made me feel like punching them. Or just give them a sarcastic tone like, oh, the fucking sky's blue? What about
that? Really? I thought I was dry.
Oh fuck, I thought it was raining. I was wondering why I was like why I was a bit wet. Like, oh fuck.
Do you know what? If somebody was to ever say that and it's like blinding sunny day, you go like, it's raining. What are you talking about? And like look point to the sky where the sun is splitting and go, it's raining. Why can't you see that?
Oh,
freak them out.
Oh.
So what else has been happening? Elden Ring? Have you become Elden Lord?
I finished it, aye.
So you're now Elden Lord?
I don't even know. I think I picked an ending where I didn't become Elden Lord, but I don't really know. Classics From Software style, the ending is very vague.
I see. Well, so, yeah.
But I beat it and it was... Man, the last part of the game is just like a gauntlet of bosses, and fuck me, they just kick the shit out of you.
As spoilers for the Elden Ring here, the last boss, did you find that it looked like a penis?
No, really, no.
Is the big purple cosmological looking thing with wings?
Aye, I didn't really get a penis vibe for it, no.
I was watching a stream and it was somebody try to speedrun it, and they were fighting that boss, and they had said that they were like, oh, it's quite, it looks like a big PP kind of floating about, and I was looking at it and I was like, can I say I've ever seen one that's ever been like that?
I didn't get that. I did not get that that feel for it at all. To be honest with you, I don't know where the fuck that cunt's getting that for. I mean, if you want to see a Japanese RPG with a monster that looks like a penis, have I got the game for you?
What's it called?
I think it's pretty much any of the Persona. I don't know if it's in all of them, but the Persona and Shin Megami Tensei series have got a creature. Right. Let me see if I can find it.
It's a penis?
It's literally just a dick. Like, it just is. It's just a dick.
It's weird.
I don't know why. It's a thing, but it just is.
The last boss kind of reminded me of, only in like the neck part, only like the kind of head part, the water temple boss in Ocarina of Time. That kind of amorphic amoeba kind of thing.
Aye. Oh yeah, I could see that.
But it did give me like very like Smash. I'm sure there's a boss like that in Smash, is there not? I might be wrong.
I don't remember.
Who's the blue guy?
Wait, Faye Brawl? Taboo?
Brawl, Taboo, maybe.
I mean, he was just a guy. He was just blue. Again, looked like Dr. Manhattan, to be honest.
I guess.
Right. There's the monster. Right. That's not as bad. It kind of you can see how it looks like a dick, but this one is just even more. So like, just very phallic. It's the same monster, just different designs. It's for anybody who wonder what I'm talking about. It's called Mara, Mara, for the Megami Tensei series, also Persona, and it just looks like a big dick.
That is absolutely 100% a penis.
It's just a penis, like you flat out. No, like doesn't it like just resemble one? It is just a dick.
That is just a penis, and they've like added a wee mouth. This is. Is this an enemy?
No. It's an enemy you just come across in the games. I came across it in Persona 5 when I played it. Apparently, it's in a lot of the other games in the series. So, I was quite shocked when I ran into it, and I was just like, "What the fuck am I fighting?"
That is crazy. I mean, like, if without any context, if that just kind of came up to you, you'd be like, "What drugs were the devs on?" when they made this. What is going on here?
It's fucking. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny shit, but.
I mean, how do you get away with that?
I'd.
Surely there's some sort of censor issue here.
You would think, right? Because in Japan, like they censor like their porn and stuff. Like all like dicks and all that are all like blurred and shit. But then they're just like, here's a game with just blatantly a big penis as a monster. And the issue.
Just blatantly a hole, like just blatantly like a whole penis, just strutting about.
It's so strange.
That is so weird.
Do you know what else I've been? There's something else I started playing though.
Mm-hmm.
That you could maybe give a shot as well. It's on Game Pass. It's called Tunic. Tunic. That was the first thing I thought when with the game title as well. But it's basically if you took like old Zelda game, made it like 2.5D, like that kind of isometric kind of style, and then like added some like Dark Souls-y kind of type elements to it, and it's pretty good. It's very cute kind of art style. You play as a wee fox that basically just looks like Link, to be honest. It's a very cute art style and stuff, and it's a fun wee world, and I've been having a good time with it. It's quite difficult, more difficult than I was expecting it to be. We'll give a bit of a challenge, although there is accessibility options to play with like infinite stamina and stuff if you like. If you want to just like, I guess, just casually play it and no really want the challenges and that. But I've been quite enjoying it. It's apparently quite short as well, like 10 hours or something. So
that's not too bad. It does give me like Zelda vibes, like especially the front cover, like with that wee fox.
Yeah.
Especially Tunic. That's got to be a reference.
I mean, I imagine they're very much inspired heavily by Zelda. There's a lot of things in the game that I'm just like very inspired by Zelda. Even like like wee jingles that sometimes play when you find like treasure chests and stuff. Sometimes sound very Zelda-ish. The wee jingles and shit that play. So, but it's a very very good game. It's on Game Pass, so I mean, if you've got Game Pass and you're looking for something to play.
Well, I would say. I have gotten rather bored with Fallout. I've kind of done my story, played the story out how I'd like to have played it out, and then I switched Destiny on for like the first time in a few years yesterday. I like it. I like Destiny, but it's just there's no enough there. And that feels really weird saying, considering there's like thousands of weapons and armors and all that kind of shit. But you know, if you're a casual player, there's not much there. You need to farm for that kind of shit.
I can imagine that is the thing with Destiny. The kind of games, it's like unless you're playing it consistently all the time, and every update comes out, and you're playing it all and doing everything, like just jumping in like months or years later to try it again. I can imagine it's like. It'd be hard to get into again. It'd be hard to jump back in with all that shit that you've missed and stuff.
I like the story. That's the thing. Like I like the Destiny story, and like there's this new kind of chapter that's out that I like the idea of, and I started playing it. But like it's just, I just wish that there was like. I don't know, like maybe I'm like a really bitter and like bitchy kind of player, but see when I'm like playing and like I see other people online, I'm like, oh my god, their armor looks amazing. Oh, how'd they get that gun? And as you say, it's these people that have like played consistently and like they've literally went out their way to get certain achievements and they've been rewarded with this stuff. Yeah. But I'm just sitting there, just turned it on, and I'm like, I want that. Give me that armor. Why don't I have it?
Give me that.
But I might actually play that wee Tunic then, if it's just like a nice little light breezy game.
Well, I mean, it's no really a light breezy game, but there's options to turn on if you want to just like make it that way.
I mean, it looks light and breezy.
And that's what I thought at first as well. Like I'd remembered the trailer for it, and it just came out like earlier this week or last week, I think it was. But I remember there was a trailer for it like forever ago at E3 and that, and I remembered it, and I was like, oh, that looks like a cute game, I might try that. And then when I saw it was out, I was like, oh, I'm going to try this out, and I played it, and I got my arse kicked a wee bit, and I was like, oh wow, wasn't expecting this to actually be quite difficult. But there's, like I said, there's options where you can turn. I think there's like there's a stamina meter in it that you use when you're in combat that you have to like keep track of. I think in the accessibility options you can turn it, make it so the stamina's infinite. I think you can also make it so you just don't die as well. So if you want to just fuck it, if you want to just explore the world and don't want to worry about like dying and how to, retrace where you were. But I mean, after the first, I died a few times the first couple of hours, but after that, I usually didn't die unless I was coming against like a boss or something.
So you're saying that I shouldn't be distracted by the graphics?
Absolutely not. It is deceptively more difficult than what it looks like. I mean, I would say if you try it and if you are fine with how the difficulty is, then keep playing. If no, the options are there to make it easier. For
okay.
For anybody
I'd probably just play it as it is. I always find that with games, like if you play them how the developer kind of intended, you get the full experience of the game, and then you can kind of have it your way. That makes sense.
One thing I appreciate about the game, as someone who is disabled and has very bad eyesight, I very much appreciate that in the game when you open up the menu / map or whatever in the game, you can press a button to just zoom in on it and stuff, which a lot of games just don't do, and which I don't understand at all.
I mean, let's talk about that. Like, accessibility, I think, is being a content designer. Accessibility is like one of the big things that you kind of need to think about when you're portraying somebody else's message. Is how's everybody going to understand this message, see the message, hear the message, whatever it is. And it's not often. I don't think it's not often that something is thought about. It's always usually an afterthought. But like Microsoft are kind of leading the way there for accessibility with their accessible control pads.
There's that is the thing. It's nice that I think Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. I think all three of them have a way or like a button kind of combination of something you can do that can that will zoom in the screen for you. But they're all I can never fucking remember how to do them all. But like I think they do have an option for that. It's not the most like convenient thing. For a lot of but it does at least exist. It would be nice for some games to have options for making text bigger or zooming UI in or just something, because there's been so many times that I've went to play a game and I open up like a menu in the game and like the icons and the menus and the text is so fucking small that I have to literally put my face right up to the screen to read
just to see it,
because my eyesight is so fucking bad, and I'm just sitting there like, can you guys think like you're probably designed and worked on the UI for this game on like a big fucking monitor that's like 4K resolution. Like, so you probably didn't see an issue with this, but like not everybody's playing the game on big ass screens like that with fucking insane resolution. Like and
the thing is as well though, it's like obviously like they know, as you say, they've been working with the UI for ages, so they know the words there. Like, they've basically what I'm trying to say is they've not got somebody with a fresh pair of eyes to be like, oh, are you sure that this is all readable? Are you sure that this is... See, in Elden Ring, I'm not going to lie, like, see when you pause the menu and you're going through all your shit, like, I don't wear glasses or anything like that, but even I'm a wee bit like, fucking hell, where are you meant to look? And I found that especially in modern games where, like, especially with, like, sub-menus like that, they've got, like, the thing to the far left and then the explanation, to the upper right, or, it's just this weird... Things aren't tangible, things aren't coherent, so you're kind of left like, where the fuck's my shit? And what's going on here? What does that do? What's that? And,
It's fucking sometimes there's literally been times I've went to play a game that I was interested in, and the like things like that where there's like a lot of menus and shit, but the text is so small and it's such a pain in the ass for me to read everything that I'm just like, it
Exactly,
just
yeah.
makes me not want to play it. I'm just like, I'm just not going to play this because I don't want to have to constantly fucking sit like 2 inches from my screen to be able to fucking read the shit that I need to read, and I'm just
Well,
like,
you
fuck it,
you
man.
you wouldn't have a good time playing the game that way.
Uh,
Like, you just wouldn't have a good time playing it, no matter how good the game was. If you had to like stop and you're trying your best to kind of get through it. If it's
uh,
just not playable for you, then it's not playable. And I think that game developers have to be aware of that when they're making games.
more accessibility options for people who have bad eyesight, please.
Definitely, and like hard of hearing as well.
Mm,
Like sometimes like the graphics, and I've noticed, especially in stories, it's the sound that kind of drives the story. But like if you're deaf or if you're hard of hearing, then you've kind of lost a good part of the story because it's been set up in the music, or it's been set up. Um, audio. What's the word? Fuck, it's a word. Rather than visually, it's
uh,
I don't know, but you know what I mean.
I don't know what
You
word
know
you're
what I mean.
trying to, you know. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's a strange thing, like when you, because like something I do find strange about like subtitles when in games is compared to like movies and stuff is like if you watch a movie or a TV show and you have like subtitles on, um, it'll say it's not just dialogue.
Yeah,
That
plate
it'll explain
smashes.
it'll do things like noises or music that starts like that, and it'll describe what it
Yep.
is. But like in
Like,
video games, I don't think I can't think of a single game I've played where the subtitles will explain other noises outside of just dialogue by saying like, oh, oh, this, epic music starts to play, or creature roars, or some shit like that. Like you
hmm
don't, it's specifically only dialogue that you see. And I must imagine that people who are deaf or very hard to hear must, that must be kind of shitty.
It sucks.
They know
Yeah.
have to know like that kind of stuff that's going on that they could very well just put in there.
It reminds me of like these kind of really old fashioned views that like people that have disabilities are somehow um like they're stupid or something like that. But it's no, like they have to work 10 times as hard to learn the stuff that you've learned because
Uh,
they're getting it in a different way. They're getting it with stuff omitted, and they either have to make that stuff up themselves or have to then go and look and say, there was dialogue here, but I feel like there was something I missed. So
uh,
they need to go and do research and stuff like that just to be part of the thing that they want to enjoy. And as I say, game developers they really need to start looking at that and thinking, how can we make this more accessible? Because I mean, we've spoken about this before, but anyone can become disabled at any point.
aye.
You know, I could lose my sight, I could lose my hearing, I could lose limbs and stuff like that, and you know, before I know it, I'm needing these accessibility things, and they're not there.
I mean, accessibility is I mean, it's definitely getting better and better, obviously over the years. But I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine being somebody who was trying to like play video games and enjoy video games like back in like the 90s and shit, where there was just nothing like that. Like being colorblind, trying to play games back in the 90s, there was nothing.
It'd be rotten.
There was no kind of colorblind options and shit for games like there is now, and it's just like, man, that shit must have fucking sucked so bad.
hmm
Try to play fucking try to play try to play Halo 1, not knowing who your fucking teammates are because they all look the same colour and that.
Same color.
Like fucking man, that's shit.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like, I bet you there's a lot of people out there who would have a real genuine interest in video games and playing video games, and maybe even designing video games, if there was just that wee bit more or more accessibility for them, or that wee bit more inclusivity.
Exclusivity. I was gonna say exclusivity, but that's the opposite.
That's sort of inclusivity, and I like, I mean, I might be, the world's biggest skiing fan, but I've never been skiing.
Aye.
You
That
know,
is that is a weird. It's a weird thing. I've had that thought so many times before. Like, there's things that like I've never ever tried in my life, and for all I know, it's something that I'm just naturally good at, or that I would absolutely fucking love if I actually tried it. But it's one of the things where it's like, aye, like shit like that, like skiing.
hmm
I've
I,
never went skiing, and for all I know, it could be like the greatest thing ever that I would love. But
hmm
I've never I've never had the opportunity to like go skiing or anything like that.
exactly,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? It's like shit like that. It's so weird to think about shit like that.
hmm I mean, that's the thing. Like, if if a lot more, if there were more things that were accessible for a lot more people, do you think people would just be happier? Because, say for instance, there's scuba diving that caters to, I don't know, like blind people. Because that's the thing, like some people might go like, well, why would a blind person want to go scuba diving? But then why wouldn't they want to go scuba diving? Why would they, they can feel the pressure of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
They can feel the way that the ocean is around them. They could maybe feel like a fish swim close to them. They could feel that, like all these kind of wee things. And but then again, like I don't know, you're blind. Would you be offended if someone was like, "Let's go scuba diving," or
No.
let's go and do this"?
I mean, I'm obviously I'm legally blind. I'm not fully blind. I can see.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I can see him like not obviously as well, just not as well as most people. Um, but I just I don't know, man. I don't.
It's a weird
It
one.
is one of the things where it's like if somebody was blind, like completely blind, and they were like, I want to experience scuba diving.
Hmm
It's nobody's fucking
Oh
else's
yeah,
choice whether they want to do that, whether they can enjoy it or not.
absolutely. Like I think, obviously, like if you've got if you've got disabilities, then there will be things that will be challenging, or maybe things that you won't enjoy as much, or might not be able to enjoy as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that if the accessibility is there at least, like if someone in a wheelchair wanted to go bungee jumping, it's completely their prerogative if that's what they want to do. But they would need like I think that you'd probably need like a specialist wheelchair, and you'd need like specialist bungee cords or something. I don't know how it would work, but I would hope that there are places out there that do
I
cater to
imagine,
those.
I imagine there
hmm
are. I imagine there are. I would hope there were. Because I mean, for me, it's like one of the things where I'm like, um, if I imagined like a world where I was like really into like sports and shit,
hmm
and way that my side the way it is, I wouldn't be able to really go to a football game and enjoy it because like unless I'm like right, I mean even if I'm right at the fucking, if I was right down at the front and shit,
It'd be hard. Yeah.
I would struggle to know what's going on
hmm
watching for there because I just wouldn't, I would lose sight of the ball so often and I would just, and I'm just like if I was into sports, man, it would be hard to, it's one of the things that like I imagine for a lot of sports fans seeing a game live and all that is like a great experience, but
hmm
for somebody like me, I'm like I probably wouldn't be able to enjoy it as much.
hmm
But it's one
I
of the
have
things where it's
seen.
like people will
Yeah.
say like, oh, you could bring like binoculars or something with you to like watch it, which is like I could do that. Although I can imagine
Yeah.
fucking starting in a fucking football stadium with binoculars. I mean, you'd probably get a lot of jabs for fucking arseholes that'd be like,
Yeah.
you fucking bring in binoculars for me?
Who
And you
you
just be like,
spying
mate,
on?
who fucking, just be like, mate, fuck
But
off.
I've seen a few wholesome videos where like people will take like a friend to the game, and like that friend will describe
Mm.
the game to them, which I think's really nice because obviously like I'm not a big sports person either, but I'd imagine like the atmosphere, and I
Aye.
imagine like being part of that, it just must be like really really powerful, and I think you could experience that, even if you did have binoculars,
I know
or
that's
even if yeah.
I've seen I've seen videos of people, like a deaf person at like a concert, and they have somebody signing the lyrics that the person's singing. You know what I mean? It's like, just because they're deaf doesn't mean they can't go and enjoy a concert.
Exactly. Like, I think that this is really weird, but you know, sometimes like I'll do stuff without like no way like a blindfold on. Look, that's stupid. But like sometimes, put it this way. Let me just give you an example. Sometimes I'll pee in the dark,
Aye.
or like if it's
You just
if
kind
it's
of autopilot it, kind of, with it.
aye, if it's really dark, you know, I don't really like turning on lights and stuff like that because I think it's really sore my eyes.
Aye.
So what I prefer to just like live in the dark. So like there's certain things that I by doing that I've gotten used to doing, like being able to learn the difference between how full and how empty a glass of water is without being able to see it. Stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, as I say, like anybody can become disabled at any point. So I think that to forget or to kind of exclude disabled people from everyday things is really stupid, and it just kind of basically lets people know that you don't give a fuck about Indy but yourself.
There's so many people out there that seem to think if somebody's got a disability, it means they can't like do anything. Like they have that mindset of like, oh, if you're disabled, surely you can't do this, you can't do that. And if somebody isn't, like if somebody's like doing something that they don't think a disabled person would be able to do, and then you know they're confronted with that, with like a disabled person doing that thing, they're like they have that like weird like denial or defensive stance where they're like, well, you must not be you must not be disabled.
They doubt it. They're like
they doubt that you're actually. It's such a crazy thing.
Weird.
When you see
I remember,
like that.
I was out in Glasgow and I was drinking. It was years ago, and there was this lady and she was in a wheelchair, and it's weird. Like I don't know if this is positive discrimination or you know, and if I was an arsehole for doing it, you know, let me know. But like she was kind of just on like she was on the dance floor obviously and like kind of dancing with her friends, and obviously I'm gay. So like I went up to her, not when I went up to someone in a wheelchair because I'm gay, and I was like, yes, let's start our own CBBS kind of thing. But like I was basically kind of like, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to dance with her, if that makes sense. Because I just kind of wanted everybody to see that you know it's no, you know they're not other. This is a real life human person, and they're like enjoying their night. So why would you treat them any differently?
Yeah.
But like, as I say, so like I was up and I was dancing with her, and she seemed like she was like really happy with it. But I think a couple of, or one of her friends thought I was maybe taking the cunt out of her. They thought that I was dancing with her like as a joke, or they thought I was doing it for some kind of nefarious thing. And she was, you know, like she was being really hard, like she was calling me this and calling me that, and I'm like, Christ, please stop for a moment till I let you know. But is it positive discrimination? Like if you see something like that, like say for instance, like you're partially blind, if you were struggling with something and someone just assumes and just takes it over, like would you be like thankful or would you be like, well, what you doing?
I guess it depends what it is. Like if they just like if they asked me if I wanted help, then that's totally fine. Like if they were like, oh, do you want? If they like noticed I was struggling with like seeing something, and they were like, oh, do you want help? I can tell you what that says or whatever like that. If you can't read it here, I'd be like, oh, cheers. But like if I was, you know, but if they just like, I don't know. I guess it would really depend. But I mean, I could see a thing where I would get annoyed by somebody just like assuming something like that and just like stepping in and not even asking me, like if it's alright, like if they just like did it. But like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, but it goes both ways. Where like she's maybe being too protective and like, you know, expecting this thing where like, oh, I need to like protect my friend, or she's disabled, so I have to like be all this extra careful, wearing all that and all this shit, and it's like, well, no, you have to like, you know, let them
they're not a
do
child.
let them do what they want. You know what I mean? It's it's not like some fucking. They're not going to get hurt just because they're like somebody's want to come up and dance with them. It's just it's I think it's been like too protective.
Mm-hmm. I guess though, like I can see it from both sides. Like obviously, like I can completely understand where that lassie's friend was coming from, because I can imagine that she has put up with a hell of a lot of shit, going out nights out, and like just living her life. And I can imagine that a lot of people have like been really nasty, and they've maybe been less than courteous. So I can completely understand it, but at the same time, like I don't know. I guess if it was me, I would just want to feel like I was part of everybody else.
Aye.
You know, and if that meant a stranger came up and danced with me, or if that meant that, you know, a stranger kind of, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like if it was me, I would hope that people would just kind of, I know I would want to be included. I know I want to be included now. You know.
Aye, I mean it's like it's like it's fair if it's a fair thing to be like, you know, to want to be like, you know, a good friend and be like, you know, make sure that, you know, somebody isn't coming up and taking the piss, but like at the same time, to just assume that that's the only thing is also bad, because then it's like then you're putting this precedent out there of like, oh, the only reason you would want to dance with her would be to take the piss, rather than it being, well, no, I just wanted to dance with her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like at that point you're just like, why you're just assuming like the only reason anybody would want to dance with her would be to take the piss, which is just as bad to like have that process.
I guess in that kind of thought process, you really just have a very low opinion of people. Like you're being like, there is no way that someone would just want to dance with somebody for the sake of it. You know, they're just like, no.
And at the end of the day, if you know the lassie that was in the wheelchair was, you know, if she was fine and having a good time, then that's what matters. I mean, it's nice that her pals like worried about her, but it's really, you know, her opinion on it doesn't really matter. To be honest, you know what I mean? But
I mean, listen, like I would, if I'm ever out and I do see someone like who is maybe facing a bit of adversity, or they're maybe having a bit of a tough time, like I think me personally, I would try and go out my way to kind of make them feel included, even in the very smallest way. Even if that's like looking at them and saying hello, or you know, just as I say, just making them feel included, because I know from personal experience, there's nothing worse than when you feel like you're on the outside, or you feel like you I don't know, you're just separate from everybody else, and then everybody else just goes on with their lives around you, and it almost kind of confirms these bad ideas that you have, that people are better off without you, kind of thing. So I know that when you are feeling excluded, and you know, when things seem normal around you, it can almost make you feel even more isolated, and it just takes like that wee thing to be like, no, you're part of this.
No.
Kind of drive that stuff away.
It's fucking. It is one of the things where like even the like good intention, sometimes even good intentions with stuff like that can, you know, still be bad. You know, like treating somebody who's, you know, disabled in a wheelchair or whatever, they got treating them a specific way, even if it's like trying to be helpful, but like treating them that differently all the time is also not, you know, a good thing, because it makes them feel different and left out and all that.
It heightens that fear of being other. And I mean, like, this one of the things that I've kind of noticed or have picked up along the way is how people talk down to people in a wheelchair as if they are, you know, as if they're babies. You know, you're like, oh, hi, are you okay? Like, I can understand English, thank you, I'm fine.
They treat them like they're helpless and all that, and it's just like you're being pretty horrible doing that to these people. Like, you can't do that. It's like,
it's so weird. because
It's just very condescending. That's a good word for it. It's just so
definitely.
condescending. And
You're
then,
basically telling that person that they are, I don't know, that they're almost like a child, that you're there to look after them, and it's not like that at all.
Aye.
So, what are we having for dinner tonight? Because I'm coming over.
Oh, aye. I don't know. What do you want to have?
I want a chippy.
You want a chippy?
I want a chippy tea. Maybe. Well, you don't like Chinese, do you?
I'm not. I got some Chinese for Christmas when I was at my sister's. We had the Christmas dinner we had was Chinese, and I tried something. Because I used to know, like, I used to not. I didn't eat Chinese takeaway for a long time, because when I was younger, the couple of times that I tried it, it was always stuff that I just didn't like that I ended up getting, and I think it just put me off like trying it. Because the thing is, like, I am usually don't have a lot of money, and so going out on a limb to order food that I've never had before, to then be something that I just don't like, feels like such a waste. You know what I mean? So it's like, for most of my life, I usually stick to stuff that I know I like, for the most part. So for a long time, I just never really tried other things. I just never really tried other Chinese foods, because the stuff that I tried before, I just didn't enjoy. But I had some. What was it I had?
What did you have? I'm dying to know what you had.
It was like, I think it was like roast. I think it was like it was some kind of duck dish and garlics and like a garlic sauce, and chicken balls. I think
chicken balls are a good safe.
Chicken balls are like a safe thing to go with. But it was a dish that was like duck with like a garlic sauce type thing, and it was fucking great.
I feel like what you're describing is like duck and black bean sauce, garlic and black bean sauce. Was it dark?
Might have been. Aye, it was. The sauce was dark. Aye.
I think it's probably garlic and black bean sauce. Yeah, because that is quite nice.
No, that I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna sit here and act as if I'm not like some cunt that's like, oh, I'll only eat the same shit. Like there are foods that I like. I very much enjoy Japanese food. I know for a fact that I like. That. It's just
that dog barking?
It is. You can hear it. It's a cunt.
I can hear that.
That's the unfortunate thing, is like, where we grew up, the only options for like takeout food was basically, it was Indian, Chinese, chippy. That was it. So I was like, I know I like Indian food because I've eaten a lot of Indian food, so I know I like Indian food, and I know obviously chippies are just fish and chips, not as easy. But with like Chinese food, it was like the few things I tried when I was young I didn't like, so I was like, I've just never bothered with it again for like years. But
what's weird is that, like, obviously, like as you say, we had like Indian, chippy and Chinese, but you'd be able to get like a burger and chips at the Indian.
Aye.
And you'd be able to get a pizza at the chippy. And now you can get a pizza at the Indian, a pizza at the chippy.
Aye.
It's crazy.
They'll do a bit of everything, but it is that weird thing, isn't it? It's like, if you're going to order for like an Indian place or a Chinese place, you might as well order something that's different. That isn't just like what's the point in being? Is that situation of like, what's the point in being like, let's order for the Chinese place, and then I'm like, get me the burger. Get me the cheeseburger. It's like, well, what's the fucking point in ordering for there then if you're just getting that?
Go and get me that chicken burger and chips and from the Chinese place.
there is that Japanese place that's open now, that we've ordered for a few times, and it's fucking great. They have really good food, but it is a bit pricey.
What's that? Is that the one in Kirkway?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you actually tried it yet?
What's it called? Nigiri? Nigiri?
Nigiri, I think it's called.
Nigiri, yes, I have enjoyed nigiri many times. It is absolutely delicious. Beautiful sushi and dumplings. In fact, no, I didn't like the dumplings because they, for some strange reason, deep fried them. They deep fry their bao as well, their bao bun. which I wasn't a big fan of. But yeah, the sushi that I've had's been absolutely stunning.
I don't think I tried the dumplings.
And so maybe we can look at the menu. Maybe.
Maybe.
But I think that's
I've some options.
some options. I think that's probably a good time to wrap up. I know you were about to tell me about all the other things that you've tried for the Chinese and liked.
I was like the one hang, to be honest. That was the one hang I tried. I liked.
But I'm going to see if I can get a lift.
Are you going to come through like the new?
I might. Bitch, I might. So maybe the new. Frankie's probably sleeping, but I mean, you're up anyway.
Aye. Well, Frankie didn't go to work the day, so I think he slept in. So he might not be bothering a wee afternoon nap. Tisk. There will be words. But yeah, I'll give you a message and stuff like that when I'm heading through. And for the listeners, thank you very much for listening. Yeah.
Listening to us talk about the massive, huge issue of the hole in my trousers.
The gaping hole.
And maybe I'll sew it up by the time I come out of yours. Who knows? I might just wear something else. I don't know. It'll be a surprise.
As long as you're not sitting there with your fucking boss sack hanging out of your hole, I'm fine.
Aye, go and let me set up like the switch or whatever it is, and then I'll just bend down and it'll just be you and Frankie going call. But thanks for listening, listeners, and we will speak to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.